welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriotification Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about the left, specifically leftists, being single issue abortion voters for any kind of political candidate, and how 25% of them are that way right now, according to a new poll, which, mind you, why I hate polls in general, especially political polls and stuff like that, is because it's almost always anywhere from 500 to 2,000 people someplace in there that are polled for these things. And most of the time when you look at the polling and how it happens and stuff like that, it's in a major city that is hardcore leftist. Usually it happens on college campuses, what it actually is, especially when it comes to like gun control polls and stuff like that. That being said, my understanding is that this new poll here that I'm going to talk about is 1,000 people that were voters and stuff like that were all Democrat voters and stuff, where you had 250 of them basically be like, I'm only going to vote for somebody depending on their abortion stances and stuff like that. It's like, well, you should probably never have voting rights in this country ever, for that matter, because you're such a dumb cunt, is what it is. And then especially when you look at the fucking nice little copy and paste photo that was grabbed here, which is these stupid bitches who were all fighting for child murder on demand here in Ohio, etc. You got this stupid bitch right here. Abortion on demand without apology. You know what's kind of funny about that? I remember there used to be one where it was abortion on demand without consequence, is what some of these idiots were talking about there. These are the stupid fucking cunts, by the way. They're all Bloomberg paid shit shills, NPCs, etc., who will openly talk about murdering a child in the womb to the moment of birth and be fucking proud of it. They're the types that are like that one crazy-eyed bitch who was a blonde white woman who literally was wearing a T-shirt talking about her 21 abortions or whatever the hell it was. There, I figure it was 21 or 11. It was a shitload either way. And I'm just like, how the fuck are we gonna live in this kind of society where you have these fucking nuts having voting rights anymore, man? And I've said it before, about the 19th Amendment being a mistake and stuff like that. And it's not the entirety of the 19th Amendment was a mistake, but there's definitely parts of it that need to be repealed at this point, 100%. And if you are some leftist dipshit who is openly advocating for mass murder in the womb, you need to never have voting rights in this country ever again. And it's not just females, for that matter. I could go into talk about the 26th Amendment, too, for that matter, because not everybody should have voting rights by default at 18 years old, no matter what. I know for a fact when I was 18, actually, technically the first time I voted was when I was 20. And what did I vote for? I voted for Democrats, dude, because it was the go-to thing back in 2003 and 2004 election cycle there. Technically, my first election that I ever voted in was, I believe, a 2001. I'm trying to think now. Was it a 2001 off-year election? Or maybe it was actually 2002 that I'm thinking about it, because it would have been midterm election. So it would have been, the first time I ever voted was for some like leftist governor, if I'm not mistaken. So it would have been probably Ted Strickland, I'm guessing, was the governor at the time, running for election maybe or something. And then it was, or wait, no. How am I saying that? No. I'm sorry. I was not 18 until 2003. So yeah, so it would have been an off-year election then. It would have been, okay, so the first time I ever voted was presidential election then, when I was just over 19 is what it was. And then it would have been when I was 21 in 2006, I think is when it was, when Strickland was up for re-election or something. And of course, I was still voting Democrat back then. And then, after time I woke up and stuff like that, and I started voting Libertarian around 2012 to 2013, someplace in there. And then eventually am now technically a registered Republican because I have to be anymore in Ohio, because, fortunately, Ohio, because of asshole John Kasich and a bunch of rhino-ass scumbags in our General Assembly who are most likely still in office from flip-flopping General Assembly, since we have, term limits after 8 years here is what it is on both sides. They had basically made a rule back in 2013 to where, we're no longer going to have Libertarian or Green Party or anything else like that recognized in the Ohio ballots and stuff anymore. And it's like, that's bullshit, dude, entirely. Because you're 100% restricting third-party candidates from even being on the ballot at all, unless they're considered independents at that point, which is absolute crap entirely. Well, see, that's the big difference between myself and Vivek Ramaswamy, is that I swear to God, if I didn't know any better, I swear this fucking Manchurian candidate guy was actually paying attention to the network like several years ago when I started talking about this stuff, man. Because almost everything this motherfucker has said in the last couple of years, I'm just like, dude, you're just parroting what I fucking said like a year and a half ago, asshole. Like, it seriously feels like that. It seriously feels like he just like stole everything I fucking ever said, and he's just like passing it off as his own original ideas and stuff like that anymore. Now, granted, the big difference between Vivek and I with the whole civics test thing is what I actually said, and this is probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, was that we need to have basically a constitutional rights-based test is what it is, where it would be about the actual Constitution itself is what it is. And you would basically be passing something where it's like a 50-something question test, where it would just be various things about the founding of this country, various amendments in the Constitution, specifically the Bill of Rights, etc., etc. And it would be based around that whole thing. And it would be restricting of rights, of voting rights for that election cycle. It would not be, and that's the thing. I think Vivek's thing is basically, if you didn't pass that or whatever the case be, if you chose not to do it or whatever, then you just don't have voting rights for whatever time period it is until you do that thing is what it is. Whereas for me, with the test I'm talking about, with the actual constitutional based test, it would be if you don't pass it that election cycle, you just can't vote that election cycle, and then you just retake it the next election cycle is what it would be then. And as long as you like pass it at any time, you just have voting rights automatically as what it would be then forever. Or unless we do like, you know, maybe like a 10-year thing, like every 10 years you got to pass it or something like that, then that's be the case. Just to make sure that people are, you know, actually living up to their end of the bargain and understand that, like, you know, we live in a constitutional republic and it's time to, you know, act like it anymore instead of talking about democracy and all that stupid other shit all the time is what it is. So, anyway. But, yeah, the entire point I'm trying to make, though, is that we definitely need to do something at this point. And then, man, I'll tell you what, I was watching this video earlier today, and it was, I don't know if it's a fatherless homes issue anymore at this point, or if it's something even worse than that, because you had, I'm not sure what school it was in, a bunch of fucking teenagers beating the fucking shit out of another one. And then I believe it was that kid actually was fighting back and pulled a knife and stabbing one of the 10 or 15 kids that was fucking attacking his ass. And it was all minority kids, by the way. Like, every single one of them was a black child / teenager. So, like, there's definitely something wrong with that whole entire group of people, man, is what it is at this point. When it comes to, you know, various single mother households like that and stuff like that is what it is. And that's what I think a lot of it has to do with, honestly. I think probably about 50% or so, maybe 75% of it is legitimately fatherless homes, but then there's definitely like other factors in it too, because it seems like anymore, like the older these kids get and the less, you know, consequences they have for their actions and stuff like that, the more psychotic they become is what it is. And then you look at, you know, these people on the left there who are literally like, oh, let's, you know, literally fucking 1 in 4 Democrats are single issue voters on abortion. Says nearly a quarter of Democrat voters say they would vote for a candidate based solely on their abortion position, according to NBC poll released Friday. Says 24% of Democrats that they would base their vote on abortion when asked if, quote, any one issue is important that you would vote for or against a candidate solely based on this basis. So the survey was conducted from the 10th to 14th of this month with 1,000 registered voters and has an overall margin of plus 3.1. It's just fucking insane, dude, is what it is. So, quote, the poll also finds that the highest share of single-issue women voters, 22%, say abortion is their top issue, according to the survey report. So the second issue most important to Democrat voters is, quote, protecting democracy or constitutional rights. Okay, what's funny is, okay, they talk about protecting democracy when we are a fucking constitutional republic, goddammit. And it's funny to me that they talk about constitutional rights because, shocker, you don't actually have a right to kill a child in the fucking womb, you stupid fucking cunts. And that's why you pieces of shit keep trying to enshrine it into Ohio's constitution and all these other state constitutions to allow for fucking mass murder on demand is what it is. And I'm so sick and tired of that shit, man. I actually called up a couple state reps the other day that run the pro-life caucus and stuff like that. And I told them straight up, I was like, hey, I know there's lawsuits going through the courts right now about various stuff. If you guys want to file another one, like, this is what you need to do it on. This is what Ohio Patriot Education Network is right now. We are a constitutional rights organization that also is a Second Amendment org, for that matter. And if you need plaintiffs, get us on board right now. Give us the money from the state, give us the lawyers from the state, etc., and we will be the people that file the fucking suits at this point. I will specifically go to court for these fucking people if that be the case, dude. Because I refuse to let that shit become law in about a week or so. There's absolutely no fucking way I'll let that happen here. And if it comes to the point where I file lawsuits after the fact and stuff like that using somebody's money at this point, I fucking will, dude. If that includes state taxpayer money, I don't give a fuck at this point, honestly. Because something needs to change, man. And as I told specifically State Rep Jenna Powell's answering machine the other day, I said there is no way that this can legally become law here because it directly violates Article 1, Section 1 of the Ohio Constitution that talks about life, liberty, property, which is almost verbatim exactly what was in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Actually, technically, it was a preamble to the First Amendment of the Constitution, which again was life, liberty, property stuff. And this is the entire problem right now. When you have these piece of shit bullshit amendments that should have never even been allowed to be on the fucking ballot to begin with, because the Board of Elections should have been fucking arrested on the spot for even allowing the fucking signature gathering to happen to begin with, dude, because it's direct violation to an already pre-existing law from 150 plus fucking years ago when this state was founded. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. It is. It's absolute crap entirely. So, it's fucking irritating as hell, man. Let's see where we're at here now. Dude, I'll tell you what, I was watching, what was it? That Can't Stop the Progress weekly thing that dude does. And they had, I think it was that sexy red chick in there, the one that's the ghetto rapper, basically, is what I'll call her what she is at this point. That girl is one of the dumbest fucking cunts I've ever heard open her goddamn mouth, dude, entirely. She is so fucking stupid. It is not even funny. And I guess she's pregnant with some fucking dude knocked her up at this point. And apparently the new single she was dropping that they were showing part of in that whole thing was her talking about, like, letting this dude out of prison so he could basically, like, smack that pussy one more time before she drops the baby or something. And I'm just like, good fucking God, dude. This is why, honestly, Van Drake and I agree so much on everything, dude, because he was talking about recently on one of Matt's chats about banning quote-unquote drill rap, I think is what he called it. Which I'm not sure if that would be like gangster rap or whatever the new version of that or whatever it is, or that's more like what the shit is that chick Sexy Red does or whatever it is. But either way, it's like, yes, we just need to get rid of this crap entirely and be done with it, man. It's actually funny because there was a study done, I want to say it was back in the 90s or early 2000s, someplace in there. And it was people who had grown up in different countries. And it was specifically minority kids, because it was them being the children of like U.S. military that was based overseas or whatever, at some base there, whatever it was. And you had this group of black kids who grew up in, I believe it was either Germany or some other, EU country is what it is now. They never had access to what was considered gangster rap at the time. Never heard of it at all. And then you had this other group of kids that grew up on gangster rap, etc. there. And the differences between the two groups was night and fucking day. And it's 100% a culture issue at that point. You have so much influence by just these garbage ass people that are being elevated and lifted up to be the so-called cultural influences of these whole entire generations of kids now. And then you wonder why you have kids that will go in there and gang attack someone and stuff like that. You wonder why you have like 15, 20, 30 fucking kids beating shit out of one or two kids at that point, dude. Like, it's by design, honestly. And I think a lot of it has to do with globalism, personally. It's basically what we've seen for the past 50, 60 years now is what it is, where you had the destabilization of the black family unit in this country, and it all started with welfare handouts back in the day. And this is the thing. I remember my mom tells me this story off and on every so often about when she used to work. By the way, she was excellent when she did back in the day. She, as much as I give some women in this country, she was one of these people that was definitely like a Rosie the Riveter type, man, because she worked her ass off to get to where she was at. She came from nothing, and she literally, back in the late 60s, early 70s, made something out of herself in her early 20s there, to where she eventually went into a company as an entry-level employee, and not only became management at some point in the years after that, she was also at one point a union boss. She literally negotiated a union contract with the company to where you actually had a couple dozen guys, because obviously back in those days what it was is you had these young guys come in there that were like 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, something like that, who, they're like, oh, we're going to strike at some point or whatever the case be. And they're like, what are you striking for? They're like, oh, we want a couple of days off or whatever. So they would basically strike for like the weekend is what it was, to have like the weekend off or something. And they would do this off and on, and it would piss off the older guys, rightfully so, because those dudes were like, no, we want to actually work your deal. Like, we don't give a fuck about, you guys wanting like this extra day off or whatever it is there. It's like, nah, bro, like we want to get back to work. We want to make a paycheck because we have families we got to take care of is what it is. And my mother ended up becoming like the go-to person between the unions and the actual contract negotiators is what it was. And she actually negotiated one of the best contracts for him ever. And you actually had a couple of guys come to her that day that it happened, and they're like, Rosie, you did the best contract we've ever had in this entire company. Like, we're so proud of you, basically. And yeah, it was awesome. And there was this guy that worked with her at the time who was this probably mid-30s black dude named Slim. And he had a family, and it was legitimately, he was the father of every single one of the kids in this household. And this is back when the welfare system started back in the day. And this was like probably 1971, 72, someplace in there. And you had dudes back in the day that were from the government. They would go door knocking on random doors in various places, usually in, lower income household areas. And they were like, oh, is the, woman in the house here, basically. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's, me or whatever the case be. It was some chick answering the door, whatever it was. And they're like, hey, ma'am, do you have a man in the household? Are you married? Do you have a husband, et cetera, et cetera? And like ask her like various questions about like, if she's a single mother or not at the time. And you had Slim and his wife basically figure out how to work the system back then, where she would be like, oh, no, there ain't no man in this house. This motherfucker was sneaking out windows and shit to go to work. Meanwhile, his wife and children were now getting food stamps, even though they didn't technically need them because the guy was getting paid a decent amount of money. And for them, it was just extra income at the time. And I believe there was a lot of that happening back in those days. And it was definitely welfare fraud, obviously, nowadays, is what would be considered. And even my mom's like, really, dude? Like, come on now. And, yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous. And again, it goes back to when you start looking at the generational shit like that, where you have these people that did it back in the day, early 70s, mid 70s, someplace in there. And then you basically had their kids grow up on this and be like, oh, I totally deserve this handout. And then it becomes this welfare entitlement stuff is what it is, dude. And then you wonder why, 2, 3, 4 generations later now, you have, great grandma, grandma, mom, and fucking daughter or son all on the system at this point, dude. And it's government dependency is what it is. And it's the saddest thing we can find in our system currently, dude. To where you have these people that, by all means, could easily go out there and work, could easily go out there and do a lot of the jobs that are available right now. But instead, they choose not to do these things. And then you have illegals streaming over a border every fucking day, every hour of the day, in record numbers, all fighting age males, by the way. military age males, what they call them, mams. And they are either taking these jobs or they are variously coming in here into various places and getting ready for a potential takeover, is what it is in many cases, interacting as sleeper cells currently. But in many cases, though, the ones that previously had come in, those were the guys taking these jobs, is what it is. And it's like you could easily have some dude going out there, some shit going out there, making a decent living for their family, being able to support their family with a possible single household income. And instead, they choose not to do anything except take. And then you wonder why these same individuals who will sit there and post dumbass videos of themselves walking into a Walmart or a Target or wherever the fuck it is, some grocery store, grocery chain place, grabbing fucking food off the shelves, ripping open packages, eating it on camera, and then they want to bitch and moan about when these companies will literally leave their fucking areas because of food theft, because of various retail theft, etc. there, and then be like, well, why do we have a food desert now? And it's like, maybe because you kept stealing shit and fucking eating on camera in the damn store, dude, and not being prosecuted for that fucking crime. It's so ridiculous. And it's like, these individuals have no fucking clue. Like, they just don't get it, man. Like, I don't know if it's just like some kind of like numbskull behavior or what the hell it is, dude, because it's just like, they don't see the irony. They don't see everything that's like right in front of their fucking stupid faces, what it is. And they just want to blame everybody else for the shit, dude. When it's 100% a problem within their own communities is what it is there. With possibly even being the fact that it's they themselves doing this stuff. And it really just frustrates the hell out of me, honestly. It really does. Because, and as AK Nation News loves to talk about, he's like, yeah, there's no fixing this shit. And it's like, I disagree, man. Like, there's a lot of ways to fix this stuff. And honestly, like, I don't know. Maybe we do need a new 94 crime bill or something like that. Or maybe we need, like, 1 strike laws in the fucking books. Or maybe, like, 1 to 5 strike laws in the books. Something like that, Like, do something. Like, something needs to change. That's all I know. And if it doesn't change very soon, I think we're definitely going to be in for a very bad time ahead right now. And I honestly think we're already heading towards that point in time in history where we've already reached that weird precipice where there's no real coming back from this shit anymore. And it's just a matter of time now before we have something pop off to where we can't actually stop it. Like the wheels have been set in motion so much or whatever the case be that now we're just fucked when it's all said and done. So, I don't know, man. I really don't. I just wish that things could change for the better in this country. And I think, unfortunately, the longer we go down this crazy train of life, the worse and worse we're getting on it, is what it is. And the more and more you're going to see just the fucking insanity of just everything. And it's sad. And it's pathetic. And it's just, it's hard to fucking talk about anymore, man. Without just getting purely upset about it. And I think that's exactly where we're heading right now. On a lighter note, though, Mom had her surgery today for a triple bypass. They had to do a couple hours of prep on her this morning, and then about 2 hours in, they started the surgery. So it was about 2 hours later than they said it was going to be. Took about 4 hours almost for them to do it. And then, as it turns out, I guess the normal thing is after these kind of surgeries is like bleeding issues. And of course, have to warm you up because your body temperature is cooling down during that surgery and stuff like that. Because you're obviously having open heart surgery is what it is. And when they were warming her back up in the warming area, they started to have a bleed come through or whatever, and they had to take her back into surgery, slice her back open, and find the bleed, which I guess they found pretty quickly is what it is. And she, I think it took about 15 to 20 minutes or so, give or take, for them to find that, and then they were able to find it, clamp it off, close it off, figure it out how to, sew it up or whatever the case be, and then get her back to being sewn up again, and then warming her up again. And eventually, when they warmed her up the second time, she seemed to be okay. Then is what it is. So, as far as I'm aware, I haven't heard anything from any of my aunts yet, but from secondhand from my sister and stuff like that, everything went pretty much fine, and she was coming out of sedation or whatever the case being taken to the ICU then, so she'll be there for the next at least 24 hours anyway. So it'll be sometime either tomorrow night or probably most likely sometime Thursday or even maybe Friday before she gets out of the ICU. Then it goes to an actual regular room is what it is then. So, yeah. And then it's basically just getting on the mend right now and, being able to get her strength back. And hopefully, as my neighbors were telling me earlier today when I talked to them, that hopefully she'll be able to get back from a lot of this and a lot of where her previous health issue will be dealt with because of this now. Because, yeah, having 3 of her arteries blocked and her valves and stuff like that to her heart, and it's like when you only have 4 of them, and as the doctors even told her, they're like, yeah, had you waited any longer, you'd be dead by now. So, again, I feel like we have I really think we have like a weird guardian angel protecting us at this point. I don't know if it's my dead father or what it is, or maybe it's a couple of people now. Maybe it's my deceased father and a couple of my deceased uncles and stuff like that protecting our family. Where it's just like, oh yeah, you guys are like almost gonna die, but not really now. So it's just like, I don't know, man. Fucking crazy to think about, but it's like with me, man. Like, had the anal fissure that was bleeding, and then went in to get the colonoscopy, and ended up finding out I had stage 1 colon cancer that they were able to cut out before it got too much further than that. And then basically, mom goes into having a lung issue, and then they find out she's got 3 blocked arteries. So, has to do open heart surgery now. So it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, they say God works in mysterious ways, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is entirely. I mean, it could be, honestly. Who knows? Either way, it's just like, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm already missing her quite a bit, actually, because she is usually here for me to talk and, be a sounding board if nothing else and stuff like that. So not having her around the last couple of days is really sort of getting to me now is what it is. So hopefully she'll be back in due time, which I highly doubt it'll be anytime soon, obviously, because she's going to have to go to rehab and stuff like that and get her strength back and everything else like that. So it'll be probably several months from now that she's finally back to the house then. So hopefully I can go after she gets out of the ICU in the next day or two and just go see her then, since we haven't seen each other since about a week ago now, I believe is what it was, almost. Because she ended up, I think the last time I saw her would have been last Wednesday night, because she left Thursday morning before I got up then. So, but yeah, so it would definitely be, it's weird, being here alone and shit like that, and just, you start hearing weird shit, man. I think it's the house settling is what it is, but who the fuck knows anymore. Although to be fair, when you have like, phantom hearing issues and stuff like that is what it is. Because my one ear is like a hook ear or whatever. And I think it's like I was looking into it one time. And it was like something to do with like hearing loss, and it's like you can hear like weird sounds and shit. And yeah, there's every so often I'll hear like an ambulance, like in this ear specifically, it sounds like sirens for an ambulance or whatever the case be, and then it's like, then it just goes away after a while. So I don't know. But anyway. Yeah, it's pretty nutsy. Pretty nutso shit, though, for sure, but it is what it is. So, anyway, that being said, I'm going to jump off here because I'm pretty sure that we're going to be doing Honda's chat here in the next half hour or so. And I'll be doing that tonight. We'll be discussing a little bit with Mom and everything. I'll just do an update like a minute ago. Here's what it is. And oh, I'm just painting the walls with a couple of 5.56 rounds is what it is. So, well, maybe. I mean, I know I've heard things because I was looking into it, and it was survival rate within like the first, like right away, basically, and then it was within the first like 5 years or so. So I would say give it till 2028, and we'll see if she makes it to 80 or not. Honestly, because that's the big thing. It'd be one thing if she was like 50 or 60 and be able to come back from this, but the fact that she's 75 now, and the older you are, the harder it is to come back from shit like this. So, but as long as she makes it to where I can have a grandchild for her, and she actually can meet the grandchild I'm able to give her is what it is with some chick or whatever. So that's all that matters at the end of the day. I mean, she's already got one from my brother, but still, it's just like she barely sees her. So, and that's not really our fault. I mean, there's a lot to. I'm not going to blame anybody specifically on that one, but yeah, there's a lot of people that are honestly to blame for that reasoning. So it's not any particular person. It's just circumstances what they are, and of course, my brother has. I was asking him the other day if he was going to come back up, and he was saying about how his vehicle's all fucked up again now, and I'm just like, Jesus, dude. So I don't know. Hopefully he can rent a car or something and come up here in the next few weeks or something, then if that be the case. No, I can give him all of his mail and shit too. That's been sitting here for months. So anyway. But yeah. So, thoughts and prayers are always welcome. And like I said, I'm going to try to do a GoFundMe or something probably pretty soon, because I know for a fact that with her insurance the way it is, there's no way they're going to cover everything, especially not her any extended rehab facility. So we're definitely going to need money to pay for that at some point in the future. So I'm going to do something to hopefully get something going there and make some money to help pay for that or something, if that be the case. But yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much where I'm at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this. As it is, I'm still trying to fight for, 2A here at a state level, but it's coming harder and harder every day, man. And like I said before, I would still love to run for office, but I don't think it's going to happen for next year, unfortunately, and that would have been the year to do it, honestly. But that being said, I think, honestly, maybe it is for the best because of the fact that, it's not that I don't think I would have won or that I couldn't have won. It's the fact that, I kind of don't want to be in an elected position of power when this country starts to fall, because I think there's going to be a lot of bad things happen to those people that are, is what it is. And I really don't want the mob coming after my ass, is what it is, honestly, truthfully speaking. So, anyway. But yeah, so that's pretty much where we're at. That was what it is. But anywho, but yeah, we'll be doing updates this week and stuff like that. I probably will do Buckshot on Thursday then, depending. I'm debating about how to do those anymore, is what it is. Like I'm trying to figure out a formula of how to do that correctly or whatever. And it seems like kind of hard because it always sort of morphs into something that it doesn't need to be. Because I would like to make those more of a two-way chat at this point, truthfully speaking. And I think there is a way to do that. It's just, the problem is there's so much news that comes out on a daily basis that should be talked about or needs to be talked about. And unfortunately, when you can't talk about all of it, it becomes like a whole thing. So yeah, I'm basically just trying to figure it out right now and go from there, essentially, and do what needs to be done. So, anyway, but yeah, we'll figure out something. Here's what it is, and then from there we'll just do what needs to be done after that. If that's the case, then. Sorry, I'm trying to figure stuff out right now before I jump over to Honda's chat. Here's what it'll be. So, I'm currently doing gaming stuff in the background for those interested. Trying to get my good old call to arms Dwight eventually, which will be had at some point here in the next couple of days anyway. I'm about 5K short right now on this account that I just went to a minute ago. So hopefully I'll be able to get his ass at some point here in the near future then. Tomorrow or maybe Thursday or something. But anyway. That being said, definitely looking forward to what's to come in the future here, and trying to be optimistic but also be realistic. And I was talking to my sister about that today, actually, about optimism and stuff like that. And I think what I was trying to mention to her was about realism as well on that. And my mind kind of blanked out when I was saying that, because it's like, yeah, I like to be optimistic, but I also like to be like realistic is what it is. And like realistically speaking, like I think we're definitely heading towards bad times in this country's history, to where you're gonna have something fucking nuts happen next year, and who's to say if we can stop it or not. So anyway, it is what it is. And yeah, my best advice to anybody is if you're not armed yet, get armed and stay armed and make sure that you're carrying whenever you need to, because you never fucking know what's going to happen, and some fucking psychotic lunatic could literally be on a warpath the day you go to someplace, and you may be the only person carrying that day to stop them, is what it is. So, be Eli Dickin is what it is, man. Seriously. Actually, technically, that will be what Thursday's chat is about, because I was talking with Corey the other day about this, because we were discussing Eli and his self-defense encounter a little over a year ago now in Indiana there. And there was a whole article I found about it that explained like the whole situation and had like a timeline of events and stuff like that between the time that the psycho piece of shit opened fire on the crowd there, is what it is, and then how quickly Eli was able to respond and kill this guy. For those that don't know, that day Eli Dickin fired 10 shots out of a Hellcat that he was carrying. 8 of 10 hit their fucking mark. That dude had an 80% hit rate. That's insane for somebody who does not have some kind of military or police training, dude. So the only thing I could think was that kid had to be like doing range all the fucking time or something, dude. Or maybe had like some kind of backyard range or something as a kid, and then just kept, having like expert marksmanship is what it is. And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what I want, truthfully, the network to become at some point in the future, is us being able to train and teach people great self-defense tactics and being able to actually deal with situations if we need to. And having the organization become something great is what it is. And being able to actually leave a lasting legacy. Like, that's the thing. And I've said this many times in the past on this channel, in videos that are now privatized and have been deleted and stuff like that. And I will say it again. There is an old saying that goes something along the lines of planting a tree whose shade you will never sit under. That is exactly what I'm trying to do right now. I don't plan on being the old man who tries to take responsibility and basically be like a Wayne LaPierre type of douchebag like 30, 40, 50 years from now who just tries to take credit for everything. I plan on being the old man sitting in the corner watching the next generation and the generation after that become something better than I was and become even more constitutional than I am and die happy. And it's as simple as that. The thing is that the first, I believe it was the first couple shots were from 40 yards away. He kept firing and was literally running forward at the gunman as he was continuing to fire. Those other 8 is what it was. And as Corey and I were talking about with the Eli situation there, I believe that the couple misses were probably from those first 2 rounds that were legitimately 120 feet away from the actual entrance area there. So, which would make sense. And if that be the case, and they ever did like release, like if anybody ever did like a reenactment or whatever of Eli's self-defense or whatever, I'm assuming you would actually have like 2 bullet holes where the gunman was at or whatever that day. And he was coming out of the toilet area or whatever. I think he was specifically shooting like not far from the actual entrance to the bathrooms is what it was there. And I'm assuming you probably have like 2 bullet holes around that area, which were Eli's 2 misses. And then the other 8 were basically like right on fucking target then. So, although I could be wrong, it might have, because I know something was said about him steadying himself on like a pillar or something. So it could have been that the first 1 or 2 even hit for that matter. And then it was like when he was running, maybe 1 or 2 of those were the ones that missed is what it was then. So who knows? But either way, like I said, it's a fucking phenomenal situation there, man. And it really is like one of these situations of just like, wow. Like it's just wild, man. It really is. And then you look at some of these people that can't hit for shit is what it is, and you're like, damn, dude. So, okay, 15.5 hours from now. Sorry, I'm trying to check something right now. I think the 2 whatchamacallits are each other right now on the same exact timeline then. And if that is the case, then I need to tell people straight up, be like, I'm not going to be part of this thing tomorrow then. So, not by choice either. I need the fucking shit in this other account, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I can't, leave the main is what it is there. Yep. Okay. These stupid motherfuckers, dude. God damn it, people. Fucking everybody's setting things up for the exact same time. It's like you couldn't set it off for like an hour before that or an hour after that. Like you gotta set it at the exact fucking time that's going on in the other region. Damn you people, man. Seriously. fucking people. Anyway. But yeah. So anyway. It is what it is. Like I said though, I'll be back at some point this Thursday. We'll be doing the main topic of the day will be about Eli's self-defense encounter, and then it'll be some various other stuff there about, just being your own first responder and stuff like that. And then we'll probably read some Bearing Arms articles and stuff like that. Will most likely be the day. And go from there and, discuss what's going on here locally. I know we're supposed to have a vote at some point in the near future. That's going to be a House floor vote here in Ohio about Second Amendment Preservation Act. So not sure if that's going to happen or not at this point. It fucking better though, because as Jason Stevens claimed, he's like, yeah, it's going to happen, dude. And it never did happen. It was just a vote out of committee so far. And it's like, yeah, where's the House floor vote, Jason? Stop being a little bitch and fucking bring it forward, asshole. So anyway. But yeah, that being said, that's pretty much it for me for the day. I will be, like I said, about probably a half hour to an hour, give or take, be in Honda's chat with them and stuff, and we'll be doing some two-way stuff there, or whatever the case be, or Hell, if it goes back to what it was last week, it'll turn into a chat about pedophiles again or something. Like that was the funny thing. Like this entire past week, it was like you had last Tuesday, and then you had fucking Sundays chats, and it's like it always devolved back to pedophiles, dude. And it's like because unfortunately there are way too many of them on this earth right now, dude, and a lot of them are in positions of power in our government and stuff. So you know, especially that sick fuck in the Pentagon who was arrested recently for human trafficking and stuff like that. God, what a sicko, man. I guess there's new evidence that came out about that one too. The other here in the last day or two is what it is, where it was like undercover video and like busts of his ass or whatever the case be, where he's like talking about literally trafficking children and stuff like that. And it's like, God damn it, dude. I think honestly that's exactly where a lot of these young kids are going to, though. The ones that are being going missing from the border and stuff like that. Like they're literally just being trafficked into these fucked up rings by our government is what it is, dude. So, anyway. It's something that needs to be stopped for sure. And I think the only way we're going to stop it is start removing people from office at this point based on new legislation that is pushed forward and passed by we the people is what it is. And it would be like no pedos allowed act kind of thing or something like that is what it would be. So, anyway. Or just auto DQs would actually be, technically speaking, would also work for that whole thing. So, anyway. But, yeah. Either way, it is what it is, though. And like I said, I will be back here most likely on Thursday afternoon then at some point for Buckshot Thursday. And then I'm going to try to do Freedom Friday too. And I'll, as long as I can keep getting updates from family about what's going on with mom's situation there, I'll let you guys know. And if there's any complications or anything, I'll let you know about that too as well. So hopefully there won't be. And, you know, the big thing was like she was in high spirits before she went in this morning. So, and like I said, it sounds like they, you know, did routine stuff and it went routinely. And even with the bleeding stuff, that was pretty much routine as well. So, you know, hopefully it all works out in the long run and she'll be able to just, you know, be in a rehab facility for a little while and then back here to the house and we can start doing what needs to be done to get her completely healed back up all the way is what it is. So, anyway. But yeah, that's where we're at for the day, though. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see y'all in the next one. Have a good one, y'all. Later.